Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 9. Today we're going to be doing my ending explainer video for the end of the show, that being the series finale, aka episode 13 of Season 9. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. I apologize that this video is out about 2 days after when I wanted to post it. Just been really busy, just got back home. I was in France for a week or so I just haven't had time to make any videos after The Flash ended, but I'm sure most of you guys saw my review and saw what I thought about the series finale. Just to recap it here, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good finale. I thought it was a perfect way to kind of send Barry off into the future and say goodbye to Grant Gustin, but at the same time, as most people have said, it was a bit rushed and they did kind of nerf a few of the villains like Zoom, Savitar, Reverse Flash. You know, they should be really stronger than that, but I understand that they had to rush it because there was a limited amount of time, especially cramming this all into one episode. I said this when the finale was airing and I stand by it now. I believe this would have been better as a two-part finale, so having the Reverse Flash, Zoom, Savitar stuff in the first part and then having that conclusion just in that final part, so in the final episode. So I believe we actually needed like 2 or 3 more episodes this season in order to perfectly round out the show, in my opinion. So maybe 15, 16 episodes. But 13 is what we got, and we're going to break it down. We're going to break down the ending, what it means for the future. Is there going to be a spin-off off of The Flash with what they teased? Or what is in fact going on here? So, as we were all expecting, they did find a good way to end The Flash. They found a good way to say goodbye to Grant Gustin. And in the case of the West Allen family, it was perfect. Iris gave birth to little Nora, and you got to see Grant Gustin's Barry holding little Nora in his arms as he did this kind of nostalgic speech, which harkened back to season 1 and the first episode, the pilot, and the way that he was speaking. And so as he's doing this speech, Barry says, "My friend Oliver said the lightning chose me, so now I'm going to do the choosing." And then he goes, "My name is Barry Allen, but their names are..." And then he lists off 3 names, which we're going to break down in this video. Just stick around for that. But let's talk about Barry first. So Barry has chosen, in order to continue the Flash and continue the legacy. At first we thought maybe he's throwing the lightning into the air and becoming the lightning bolt again, but they didn't do that. They shifted that and they changed it in a very innovative way by setting up the future of the Flash and there not being just one Flash. Obviously we do have multiple Flashes right now. We have XS, we have Bart from the future, as well as Jay Garrick from the present, from Earth 2, as well as Wally West. In terms of the current present day Flashes, all we really have is Jay Garrick, who can kind of pop up once in a while, but he's still kind of older. So even though he has some neat tricks and he is a great Flash, I don't think, you know, he is as viable for the long term. And so Barry is thinking about the long term when he throws his lightning into the air, and he's setting up the future of the Flash for our generation. As for the future, and Barry's not quitting being the Flash just because he's dad. Maybe he's going to do it less, and that's why he's chosen to do this. But he won't be alone as the main good speedster, and you would like to think that all of these new Flashes that are going to be coming would be part of this one big team, obviously along with Team Flash, who would be helping them out. And so these speedsters that are going to get powers and are going to be the new Flashes of Earth Prime. And there was no real hints that this was multiverse. It was just that Barry threw lightning up into the sky and it went around the world and it just hit 3 different people that we get to see. And their names are Avery Ho, Max Mercury, and Jess Chambers. Let's get into this. Let's break down who these characters are, because they're all characters from the comics. And I'm going to give you insight into who they are, and then we'll talk about potential spin-offs in the future and what this could potentially be setting up or not. So let's start with the first person who appears, that being Avery Ho. So we've seen her before. She appeared in a previous season. We saw her alongside Bart and Nora. It was very interesting. She worked at Fast Track Labs, and Bart actually had this very nice little connection with her. Obviously she's from the present, and we knew that she was Avery, so we all kind of freaked out about that at the time, but nothing in terms of giving her powers came to fruition. However, she showed up, so that was a big deal, and we knew that potentially they were building towards something, because why introduce a speedster from the comics and not give them speed? Well, clearly Eric Wallace had some ideas, and I think from this ending it's pretty clear that he wanted to bring her into the show, but there just wasn't enough time, and maybe this would have been a season 10 thing. We'll talk about something similar to do with one of the other characters who was actually supposed to be in season 10 if it was going to happen, according to Eric Wallace, the showrunner of The Flash. So Avery Ho in the comics is the Flash of China. She is a speedster who received her powers from the Speed Force Storm in Central City. That was a big thing back in DC Rebirth. Basically, that gave birth to a bunch of other speedsters, including August Hart, aka Godspeed, and Mina Darwin too. We've seen both of those characters appear before, so it just makes sense that we were eventually going to see Avery Ho. She would later become the Flash of China, as I said. She's a member of the Justice League of China, you know, a spin-off off of the main Justice League in America. And so, yeah, she was struck by the Speed Force Storm in Central City, and she was given access to the Speed Force, just like lots of those other people that we've talked about. And if you guys have read Flash Rebirth, you know that Godspeed killed a bunch of those speedsters who were given powers during the Speed Force Storm, basically stealing their powers. Avery Ho was there at the time and was one of the only people to survive, and so that was a big deal in the comics in Flash Rebirth. Highly recommend you go read it if you're interested in Avery Ho and learning more about her. But that pretty much does it. Like, she has a cool suit in the comics as well that I'm pretty sure she would have had in the Flash TV show. They are always fairly comic book accurate in terms of superhero costumes and especially speedster costumes. So yeah, I would have liked to see it in live action, but at least we get this teaser. The next person that appeared in the series finale in the ending was Max Mercury. This was someone who was mentioned in a previous season, and Eric Wallace would later confirm that Max Mercury was going to be in season 10 if they got one. He actually said this before season 9, and we had no idea we would actually see him. To be honest, in my head I was like, okay, Eric Wallace has come out and said, okay, if we ever had a season 10 I would have introduced Max Mercury. And he said also he would have made him a Native American, which is related to the origins of the character, which he actually did in the end, because the actor that played him is Native American. And so, yeah, it was really nice to see Max Mercury pop up out of nowhere and see him on screen. Like, I did not expect this at all, guys. Like, I was expecting a good ending for the series finale, thought it would be quite nostalgic and very hopeful, but this is way more hopeful. This is setting up this future of 3 new Flashes, and they're all Flashes that are fan favorites from the comics. Avery Ho's a fan favorite. Max Mercury is a huge favorite. He's been around longest out of all these speedsters that were introduced in this finale. And so if there was a season 10, according to Eric Wallace, Max Mercury would have been a big deal, and he would have been in it. So the next speedster that was introduced, who is the final speedster, is Jess Chambers. I saw a lot of people getting confused if somehow Jess Chambers was related to Jesse Quick and was just like a different version of the character. But no, Jess Chambers is a character in their own right. They were mainly the main Flash during Future State, a comic book storyline in the last couple of years. I read a lot of that, so I'm a big Jess Chambers fan from those Flash comics, and they are also the first non-binary Flash, which was very exciting back in the time, and I think they would have previously made a great new addition to the Arrowverse, especially with how the Arrowverse is going. Plus also they were introduced at a similar time as Nia Now in the comics, so I would have liked to see that crossover. Obviously, they are big milestone characters in terms of the comics, but just by themselves, they're kind of similar ages, and they were introduced to DC Comics at the same time, roughly, and they were both kind of involved in the storylines surrounding Future State and DC Pride and everything like that. So let's talk about spin-offs and what this could mean for the future. So there's potential for a new Flash, right? There's potential for a new Speedster show, and that's just basing off of this cliffhanger ending, because it introduces 3 new characters. Obviously we've seen Avery before, so it's a bit less of a big deal with seeing her. However, Max Mercury and Jess Chambers have been specifically cast, and I think by the casting it's pretty clear that they haven't just got random extras that they've pulled from the street of Vancouver and have been like, okay, put on this outfit and we're gonna call you, you know, this awesome character from the comics. No, I think they've actually taken care as to who they've cast, And that just raises an even bigger question. Like, I feel a lot of people when they watch this in the series finale just thought it was a shame and a waste, considering that we are not supposedly getting any other Flash related projects in the future, but that's not been confirmed. So I think I like where they ended the show because it opens up the doors for future spin-offs if they ever wanted to do it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, especially not at the CW, because it's so messed up right now. If it was going to happen sometime in the future, in like the next 5 years, it would probably happen on Max or whatever it's going to be called in 5 years time. Or if some other network like Netflix or Amazon ever wanted to have a Flash show, they could totally pick up on where this ended. And so, yeah, I think if this show actually happened, you would be seeing Nora and Bart show up in the show as well as some of the main characters, but it would be more of like an ensemble Flash show, which actually sounds amazing to me. I've been saying for a long time that we should do a Flash family show with Bart and Nora leading it. And this would just be perfect. Like, those three speedsters plus Bart and Nora showing up every once in a while would just be the perfect show for me as a spin-off after the Flash, because it would be different. It wouldn't be about a singular Flash, but about multiple Flashes, and they're all very different. Like, Max Mercury is very interesting with his Native American origins and the fact that he is a much older speedster than the rest. Avery Ho being the Flash of China, Jess Chambers being the future state Flash. Imagine if they actually came from the future. That would be awesome. So what I would say now is never say never, but you have to take this with a big grain of salt, because I think the main aim for Eric Wallace here, yes, it would be great if he could do a spin-off show, is that he's trying to end it in a good way and ending it on a positive note that sets up a good future that we can imagine as fans. Like, I feel like it's pretty obvious that this could actually happen, and so you're like off screen in your own head thinking, okay, so imagine Avery Ho, Max Mercury and Jess Chambers are all going to be new speedsters. They're going to get their powers, they're going to learn how to use them, and they will eventually be folding in to Team Flash along with Barry, Bart, Nora, all of those guys, whether they are from the future or from the present and from Earth Prime, you would see them integrating into Team Flash. So yeah, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry that it's late once again, but I hope that I've broken it down in an interesting way, kind of briefly explaining who Avery Ho, Max Mercury and Jess Chambers are. Again, I recommend you go read some comics with them, because that's going to give you the most insight. And in terms of a potential spin-off, I feel like it's 50-50 right now. Yes, I know some people think it's way less likely. I think it's way less likely if we're talking CW here, but if we're talking about someone, you know, another network, another streaming service that has seen the finale and been like, oh wow, look at the reaction to this, wouldn't it be great if we picked up a new Flash show with these characters? I'm still saying it's 50-50. I'm saying, you know, it's probably not going to happen in the next year, but if they do want to, this would be the show to continue the Flash and Arrowverse's legacy into the future. So yeah, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It really helps out the channel. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.